The John Wick franchise is the rare original action movie to become a massive success and spawn a franchise, but the latest spin-off entry made the mistake of including the titular character. All 4 solo John Wick films have been major hits and the character is incredibly popular, so including him in a spin-off is a no-brainer. That's especially true since the prequel spin-off series, The Continental, struggled without him. It made sense for the filmmakers to add his appearance in Ballerina, from the world of John Wick as a way to help the film, yet it actually ended up holding that movie back. John Wick appearing took the focus off Eve Lionsgate, a courtesy Everett collection. John Wick is such an iconic character that he's kind of an overwhelming presence. While his inclusion in Ballerina, from the world of John Wick makes sense, having him appear took the focus off Eve, the film's actual protagonist, which isn't a good thing. His first appearance, which connects back to the 3rd solo John Wick outing, was probably the right amount. He pops up, you can sell that scene in the trailer, and he gives the movie back to Eve. Instead, Ballerina, from the world of John Wick brings him back for a bigger role later. In this situation, he's brought in with the task of taking down Eve before he ultimately sides with her. That gives us a handful of fun action sequences with John, which is always a good thing, but while we're enjoying that, there's less of Eve to pay attention to, which harms her character. Having John beat Eve handily showed that she wasn't on his level. Lionsgate, a courtesy Everett collection. John Wick is often billed as the Baba Yaga because he's the boogeyman who frightens the other assassins, so the fact that he easily beats Eve when they fight is in line with the entire franchise. However, that just hammers home that we're watching a lesser version of the franchise. It's one thing for all of us to know in our minds that John would beat Eve in hand-to-hand combat, but it's another to show it so clearly on screen. That neuters Eve a bit, and it doesn't get helped soon after, when she's on the verge of death, only to be saved by John killing her assailant. On her own, Eve is a strong protagonist. She has a tragic backstory that gets the audience invested, she's a badass in the same vein as John, and Ana de Armas is a talented actress who does great work in the film. The use of John in the script hinders her a fair bit. John's appearance felt too shoehorned in. The biggest problem with John appearing so much and showing us how much better he is than Eve is that the whole thing could have been avoided from a storytelling perspective. His entire role in the movie is basically shoehorned in to get more people to the theater. For starters, the timeline is a bit odd. Clearly, this takes place between the 3rd and 4th John Wick films, which means that during it, John is on the run from the high table. It feels off that he'd be able to stop and show up at this assassin town for a side mission. That's especially hard to buy since he had to take a while to recover from his injuries at the end of John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum. Ultimately, though, the main issue is that John doesn't add anything to the story. The film could play out the same way without him. Other than helping Eve when she's battling through the town of Hallstatt, Austria, he doesn't impact the story. Ballerina worked best without John Wick. As great as John Wick is, it's pretty clear that Ballerina, from the world of John Wick, is at its best as a film when he's not around. Eve is given more time to shine on her own, we get the intriguing story with her sister, and the action is still pretty non-stop. A straightforward action film following Eve was the best way to go, especially when it could have worked in the same vein as other badass female assassin movies like Atomic Blonde and Gunpowder Milkshake. The action ramps up a bit with John, but it's not like the film was struggling in that avenue without him. On top of that, Ballerina, from the world of John Wick having to shoehorn in John took away from other aspects that could have used more time. For example, Eve's relationship with her sister needed more time to flesh out. She finds out the truth, and after one scene, her sister is killed without much mention again. John's appearance didn't help the box office. As noted, the main reason to include Keanu Reeves in Ballerina, from the world of John Wick, was likely to help improve the box office numbers. Reeves' performance plays a huge part in the popularity of the character, and people are more likely to flock to theaters for him. Alas, the inclusion of John didn't do much for the box office intake of Ballerina, from the world of John Wick. The film only brought in around $137 million globally on a budget of $90 million, making it a flop. Not having him means numbers might have been even lower, but clearly, he didn't give it a boost.